Hello and welcome to this BEAS overall quick high-level demo. Basically today we're going to go through a day-to-day usage of BEAS, trying to show you some of the possibilities and capabilities obviously of the BEAS solution. And we will go through a quick sales process. We'll also go through some procurement and some planning, and we'll also go through all the web apps and other designed flows. So let's go straight into it. First thing first, it's important to understand the changes between SAP Business One and BEAS, especially in the item structure. Why is it so important? Well, basically, using BEAS allows you to create what we call master data. In this master data here, I've got some items. I've got my finished good item, which is a catalysis item. And even I've got a sub-assembly and some operation steps. As you can see here, we have the sub-assembly also requiring some materials to be consumed at just a specific level. And then we have the finished good itself using some bottles to have the finished good item. The key concept behind the master data is you have your raw materials, which are defined in blue, yellow folders for some sub-assemblies, and it's a key concept behind, and in the green cogwheels is for all of the operation steps, which is also linked to production standards. We'll come back to that maybe in the future. Inside of the subassembly, you can link a specific subassembly, like you know, by a version. Why? Because you can have two different versions used also in the system. As you can see here, it's two different items with two different recipes, but still considered the same item. So the key concept in the system is that you'll be able to document multiple, let's say, recipes for the same item and track them as such inside the system, being extremely useful. Another tool that's very helpful is obviously the capability of selecting alternative items. These alternative items can be used any given time around the production run also, which is extremely helpful when you want to be able to use a different item than the one planned initially, just for the sake of consuming existing stock or material. IA versions, as we call them, the item versions, allow you also to document basically any added values, such as any document, PDFs, pictures, whatever it may be, directly inside of the document section of that. And you can open it up and have all of this listed inside the system for you to be referenced as such. These statuses are also defined with some specific logics. They could be under construction, inspection, release, or some runs outs, whatever it may be, or locked. And these are defined for specific reasons as being able to be used or not in specific production or planning side of things. So once you've seen the capabilities behind this, you're capable basically of starting running the system. Why? Because the core concept of any ERP system is having decent, well-documented master data, allowing to grow and perform as best as possible with your desired requirements, business requirements. So once we have this item, you can basically create what we call a sales order. BEAS offers so many additional values to your business requirements. Why? Because if we go to the latest one created, for example, this specific catalysis one, you can basically do a lot of things. This one was closed out, but what it means is that from here, you have the options to obviously reuse or create. Here, what I'm going to do in this specific flow here, you'll be able to see some options such as being able to create a work order directly from your sales order directly from SAP, allowing you to create all of your requirements directly from here. You'll also be able to do what we call pre-calculations. Pre-calculations is a very powerful tool, allowing you to basically review and build your item as you move along. As you can see here, I'm selecting my item, and from that item I can basically update it, and within it it's going to bring in what we call a pre-calculation. As you can see here inside your screen, it basically tries and calculates a relevant price cost for you that is helpful based on the bill of materials. As you can see, it's bringing all of the direct material costs from your sub-assemblies with all of your operation costs based from your master data, and based on whatever calculation schema you've defined, you can add if any surcharges, overheads, and any costs you'd like to add, allowing you to provide a defined sales price. You can modify on the go, on the fly, by adding any existing items directly to your bill of materials, or delete them and update them as you see fit. Being able also to review per lot sizes and other quantities. For example, here I'm looking for 1, but if I want to check for 1,000, I'll be able also to review that. As you can see, it also updates directly, telling me it will take me the X amount of time, which will cost me about $450 to produce that specific item. And at the end of the day, it will cost me, in terms of production cost, about $1,400. So the system provides you all the details, allows you to review full cost and marginal cost if you have specific calculations behind it. And you're able, obviously, to sort of work around this to add, cut, and differentiate any of your business needs. Within these, you can also update prices directly within these lists by just reviewing, updating, and changing this information as you see fit. The system allows you to define a lot of very different time types. You can be setup times, processing, and any other additional time types. This is something we would be more than happy to show you more of in the future if you need it, as it helps in terms of tracking of operations and also of cost directly. So this is your pre-calculation. If you wanted to, you could update it and keep it documented inside the system for future references, which is something some people do like to have for some business requirements. We can change save it first. Let's save it for the time being. Excellent. So here we have our item. The sales price will be automatically updated if there's any changes to that document in the first place. You also have a great tool within BEAS allowing you out of the box to be able to do a capable to promise. Capable to promise, it basically sorts of checks the dates, start dates, calculates start dates based on security dates, checks your operations capacities, and checks how long it would take to produce, allowing you to provide a delivery date which would be relevant. Here's the document, it was for the 23rd. The system says the best date with all the security documents and information provided would be on the 25th. So I know I would require to update that date to be more precise in my delivery. You can also enjoy here information on the lead time for production of your subassembly and also your bottle in case you don't have sufficient stock. As you can see here, we have fully documented requirements to be fulfilled. As such, we are capable of performing on the date documented. This is handy requirements for sales teams to avoid having to go through all of the planning steps to know and be able to provide a more precise delivery date. That's all there is to it. Some people like it, and I think it's nice to have. Once you have the document finalized, you're able to basically say, hey, my sales has been agreed upon, validated. So we're able to start all of the processing behind it. What I wanted to do is go to my MRP. Why? Because the MRP basically is capable of reading all of your requirements. Here I have my scenario for the day. You can create as many scenarios as you would like. These scenarios are basically documented to allow to give precise recommendations to your purchasing team, production team, or any other team such as maybe the maintenance team for maintenance requirements. Within the MRP screen, as most MRP screens allow you to do, we'll have a quick glance of all the existing items in the system and ask you, for example, to buy the pending requirements on the balance. For example, here if I go to my materials 1 and 2 and 3, I can see here basically some requirements based on my work orders, my open sales orders that we were looking at, and maybe some other documents such as some forecasts, work orders, and any other purchase requests or purchase orders that are existing in the system. The system will try also to provide you a relevant date of order to allow you to make decisions saying, are we too soon, too late, or for example here, to actually perform on that document. As such, you have the capabilities for sub-assembly, semi-finished goods, as you can see here, to create your documents as you see fit. The MRP from any screen, you can double-click on requirements, and it will basically automatically refill any of the requirements you need. Here I need to create 1,000 kilograms of my item. I could create from the MRP screen, production request, or actually create a work order per se. And any sub-assembly will also be documented. If we go here on the screen, you'll also be able to enjoy all of those different screens for recommendation purposes. As good as it seems, you can also do the same thing for your all your raw materials, where you can basically click and do the same process. Where if you double click, for example, on your forecast or minimum inventory, it will pre-fill the information, and you can create also the same thing. You can create a purchase request, purchase order, or a purchase quotation. And if you needed to, you can pre-fill for all of your requirements on the following weeks. As you can see here, I have multiple weeks and recommendations, and you can see here also all of those recommendations listed where you can pre-fill it and create a request based on your defined requirements. Another great thing about the MRP screens for the lazy people just like me, you are capable of creating what we call quick mode. So if you do your mode and you have a button that clicks here that says pre-assign, you can basically click on pre-assign, select a number of security days, and let's say 15 days for all my buy items. And it's going to basically pre-fill all of my quantities for my buy items, as you can see here, and will basically pre-fill those quantities here for my defined supplier, allowing me to create a purchase request, as you can see here, directly from that screen, allowing you to simplify your life and make everything so much easier. Why? Because these scenarios can be extremely powerful to define a lot of different solutions, and it will provide a lot of flexibility in your purchasing requirements and production planning. If I close off the mode, it's still filtered out, but it's fine. You are capable of having all of the current income listed, where, for example, if you review all of these documents, you see all of the existing purchase requests that were created, for example, and allowing you also to see if you have any alternative items. For example, if I go to my material free, for example, I'm able to see all of my alternative items, and as such, also you can review information by warehouses. If you want to check only by specific warehouses, for example, here I have a minimum inventory maybe for that item, or maybe if I go to another warehouse, I can also see if there's any requirements for that said warehouse. In that case here, it's all clean and easy to use, as we have general information to use from. As good as it seems, you can then continue and actually go to your report purchase request document. But inside of the screen, you'll be able to enjoy all of the different created purchase requests for you to execute upon. For example, here I have a few items to buy. I could select and validate these dates. For example, if I double click on one of them, I can review basically all of my open orders, for example, and also last price managed inside the system, allowing you to make some decisions. You can update the information directly from all of your purchase requests and change your supply if you need. You can see also all of your defined suppliers that were listed with some requirements, and you can basically make decisions also on what is needed or not needed. Once this is done, you can validate the information and say, hey, you know what, let's create an actual order. So here you can select the materials you'd like to receive, and by clicking on create a purchase order, the system will validate everything, and you can close off all of the existing purchase requests that you selected for today. And as such, you simplify your life. In just a few minutes, you've reviewed all of your requirements because the system provides those requirements for you. You can go through all of those requests if it's something you need, or you can directly create those purchase requests in the first place. So once you've done this, you can basically go to your web apps. Let's have a little venture to our web apps. So for example, on any handheld device, you can basically have your web apps defined. So here, for example, if I connect with a specific user, Harry Pyrie, for example, he's a QC expert. As you can see, he has applications for QC orders and QC execution. But if I was a manager, for example, and I connected with someone else, you would be able to see here on the handheld device multiple applications, I apologize, that are relevant to your business requirements. You can have some standard inventory controls, some standard work order executions. You might also have some maintenance to be executed with interruptions. You might have some external processes. You might have some attendance, some cycle counting, some warehouse, again, inventory controls, some work order controls, and some delivery flows. So you basically have a lot of out-of-the-box available applications here that are fully configurable and customizable to your business requirements if it's something you need. But here in this case, I want to have a first introduction to the inventory goods receipt PO, for example. The handheld device, as you can see, adapts to your screen size. If you have let's say a Zebra handheld device or a Honeywell or whatever, or a tablet or a phone or whatever who's connected to the actual infrastructure, a wireless system, you'll be able to connect to that system. Here you can basically, everything is scannable, supported by scan guns, where you can basically just bring it in. If you don't have a scanner applicable at that time, you can always enter manually or search through the GLPO search document. Go and grab that information. Here you can select the warehouse you're receiving it upon, and here, for example, you have the list of things we just did together. But you have to imagine here that your operators have full capabilities of executing out of the system out of SAP, out of BEAS, the full receiving process that they might require. But here I'm keeping it extremely simple, obviously. Some flows are more complex if needed. And here I'm just going to receive, for example, 60 of this item. If you wanted to, you could document a batch serial number, but the system automatically refills it for you. But the system is intelligent enough to also allow you to add a lot of information inside the batches if it's something you require, but here it's fully automated as such. Here I'm going to enter 300. As you can see, it's been allocated the quantities, and I can just literally save inside of SAP. The handheld devices does it for you, and in SAP, all of the financial transactions linked to that receipt has been completed also on the GRPO. So you don't have to do anything. The system is automated. Cool little trick about this purchasing is that they can also be linked to the work order. So if from the MRP you would like to link specific reservations, it is possible to do so. Let me see if I have a quick work order available for that. If you go to your work order selection screen and you go inside, I remember doing this, and you have some work orders which might have, I'll see if it's this one, where you might, no, it's not this one, let's check this one, where you'll be able to basically reserve your quantities. As you can see here, I basically had a purchase order made, reserved, and documented for that specific job. So if it's something you'd like to do, it is possible to reserve those quantities for that specific job. The same thing goes for example work orders. As you can see, this work order was created for our sales order, number 78. For the quantity, that means whatever I produce on that work order will automatically reserve itself those quantities for that job. So you don't have to do anything. The system does it for you, which makes things just that much easier again. And any sub-assemblies, such as this palaces, for example, is documented. So this work order, for example, here that I completed, also has the information here listed for that specific job itself. So everything is linked together, and these are optional flows. So if you do not need any reservations and you just have some, let's say, sub-assemblies for multiple work orders, you can reserve those quantities for those multiple work orders without any concerns at all. So the system is extremely flexible in that aspect. So basically here we've received some quantities, we've received them on the job, and another great thing about it is integrated quality control flows. Why? Basically, your system is also integrated with quality control flows. I could, as you can see here, I've done a goods receipt for the batch. It automatically creates a quality control for releasing. Right now, this batch is considered unreleased. If I check my batches here, this is the batch I received. It's considered as unreleased with this red flag here in the system. It also means it's unreleased. You are capable, basically here directly, to review your samples and execute on said samples. If, for example, here I have my first test, which is basically just asking me, is it okay or not? Is the packaging okay? Yes, no. I'm just going to okay, and the system is going to automatically validate it for me. Same thing with any weights, you can check it again inside of the menu, weights product, you have the methodology, you can enter the information if you want to, and also enter any blockage reason. Here I've listed some very unconventional reasons, such as acidity, size not correct, too heavy, or unacceptable goods return, just to show you that you have the capabilities of linking specific blockage reasons in case you have any failures in your quality control flows. Here to keep things simple, I'm going to say everything is absolutely fine. I'm going to enter 50 kilograms, for example, which is the desired weight, for example, for this specific quality control. But here it's going to say it's all good to go, and it's going to basically validate the batches. And as you can see here, it has released it automatically. By releasing it automatically, it is now allocated and available in the system for any reservation protocols, consumption, deliveries, whatever you want to do inside of the system, making things just that more controlled and flexible and powerful for your business requirements. You can attach documents if you needed to. This flow is very neat because you can actually add any listed documents. If you have any QC weights controls that you would like to document, you can just add it to that system to be reported to. Very neat and handy. And once you've done this here, it automatically validated, closes it, and is now not available for additional testing because it automatically closes. As you can see here, it's now not available, it's been completed. which is one of the reasons I love the QC flows in the system. You can add a lot of security reasons. You can have 4i concepts, which means you need to have multiple operators to validate one of the same QC orders. You can have more advanced QC release protocols, such as having to be released and closed directly in SAP to have a double control again from SAP. So it's really up to how you'd like to manage your quality control samples, or by test, or however you'd like to do it, because the system is powerful enough to maintain that for you. So here we've had a first introduction basically of our CPO and quality control. As you can see, all is done. All the printing is done automatically on the back end, as you can define any printers that you would like to have on your system, where you can define specific printers for the job, and all of the last printed jobs would be documented directly inside of your printer options. So you have the capability of keeping track of all of the printers or not, and changing printers on the fly if you're going down the path of having multiple sites and multiple locations within the same site. So you have these capabilities when you connect to select where you are to use a specific printer, which is also very handy for many different reasons. I forgot to talk about the attendance itself. You can basically have a very standard attendance protocol where you can basically have your clock in, clock out on the actual warehouse level. You can just say, I'm clocking in and clocking out of the job in a more attendance HR purpose, which is sometimes neat to have also directly integrated with your system. This is different to your production factory data capture flows, which we'll have a look at a bit later on today in the demo. Okay, if we continue here, we've received some information, we've received some flows. The next thing is to plan some work orders. So inside of your APS, which we call the Advanced Production Scheduler, you have the capabilities also similarly to MLP to create some scenarios. These scenarios are in concept the same idea of filtering out basically some requirements, allowing you to make decisions. Here, for example, I'm going to open my list of information, and I have all the existing work orders based on, I don't know, let's say a resource, or maybe based on a priority level, or maybe based on any specific requirement you would like to define or filter out, allowing you again to make some decisions. You can filter it out based on ascending or descending logic, and here for example I'm going to do the descending logic, where I can see that I'm basically these red lines are saying I am late for the execution of these defined flows, and here I see the other work orders saying that I will be okay for the delivery date as such. Or if you wanted to, what you could do is basically just select your work orders. You can drag and drop them, you can change the positions, filter them out, and you can click on your calculate button. Reminder, MLP and APS are automated, which means you can have them do this on a daily basis without having to have any human interaction at all. Here, by clicking on Start Work Order Calculation, the system is going to recalculate those work orders for me. As you can see, the system is working and is reallocating resource capabilities based on priorities and other requirements as if it's planned or not. The work order that's planned is not required for rescheduling, unless there's any human decisions made on the back end for that. Here I have my work orders that were scheduled. I can even review the Gantt chart if I wanted to, giving me additional data and flexibility in my schedule. For example, here I'm just going to open my Gantt chart. I'm going to change it just to make it a bit easier for everyone to see. Change it to hours. I can zoom in a bit. Here we go. And here basically you can see that this is a very simple work order. It takes almost no time. I'll be able to finish it on the same day, no questions asked. But if I wanted to, I could at any given time just drag and drop and move it to a different area or different time frame. And based on capacity, the system is going to review if it is something we can do or not. Why? Because from the system itself, I'm able also to basically change or modify any of these machines and substitute the actual machine if there was no capacity available. Here the example is a bit limited as I do not have a lot of examples, but let me just basically redo this quickly, where I am going to basically unplan my work orders. So here I'm just going to select my work orders as the planned ones, and I'm going to say, please, here you can have lots of options of blocking work orders, releasing them, unscheduling, planning them. I'm just going to unschedule all of them, and here what I'm going to do, and this one also would be nice to just schedule. Here we go. As you can see, it's very simple to use. The system is very flexible. I can right click, select all, and just go and say calculate again. Here's going to review all of the work orders, the scheduling, and try and reallocate resource capacity, and it will give us a better understanding of what we're trying to achieve. As you can see, the system calculated all of my work orders. If you have hundreds of work orders, let them run a few minutes is absolutely fine. Recalculate all the resources, information. If I now select again my last work orders, for example, here, I'll go to my Gantt view and have maybe a better look at the schedule itself. Here, as you can see, you have a bit more details. Let's zoom in a bit more here. As you can see on your screen, it has better capacity. You see the time frame, you see the task all listed, and you can basically again drag and drop. In the resource capacity, you can see the usage of your different resources, and if you have or not the option to change or not resources. This is something you define in your master data for specific flows and requirements. Same thing goes with your utilization. You can see here's the utilization rate of the actual resource, so you know that your packing CPAC 1 is going to be used 100% on the 16th and 17th. So you have all these decisions you can make inside of the Gantt chart, allowing you to make more refined decisions if needed. Another great thing about APS are the reports, obviously providing you shortages and requirements if you need to buy materials, but this is more of an MRP task, obviously. But here on the dispatches, which I really like a lot, it actually shows you all of the dispatches to the minutes on when you should start and complete your work orders based on resources. So graphical view is a bit more visual and helpful. If I go to, let's go here to my King Machine 1. As you can see here, I scheduled that resource. It perfectly allocated existing resource capacity, allowing me to know when I should start or complete work orders based on sub-assemblies, based on components, etc., etc. And I can even review the existing work orders that were listed for that planning. As you can see here, so they've been all listed here. Some are already in work, some are not, but you have that capability in the system to support your flows, which is extremely helpful and powerful. As you can see here, I can also glance over it and see that my work order 126 and 127 is listed. Here I have 268, etc., etc., etc. So you have all of these capabilities that are out of the box there for you to review and enjoy on your day-to-day businesses. Okay, so once I've done this, you can obviously release a job or do something about it. So here, for example, my 268, I can say, hey, you know what? I'm good to go and work on this. I can say I've planned it and I'm going to start working on it. Excellent. So for example, here we can have a click again on this one. I can review the document and see what we have. I see we do have my materials here for my work order. If I wanted to, I could define a specific reservation flow where you can define a specific reservation protocol where you see all of your existing batches, quantities available, and you can double click on it and create a reservation. So here again, you'll create an additional reservation of any existing batches, locating it specifically to a job. If you also wanted to, you could print out any crystal reports or travelers, as you like to say, where, for example, here I have one out of the box where I can just click on it and basically print out and release it for my operators on the shop floor, saying this work order is ready to go. As you see here, it prints a document out of the box with existing reservations. As you can see, it even tells you which batch you're supposed to pick with the quantities required. Any barcodes linked straight away so you can scan it is available for you. You can go entirely paperless, but if for some reason you should like to go with any documents, this is the way to go, because everything is indeed documented inside the system. If I enter the barcode of my work order, or if I just search it here, if I go to my 268, see if I go to my 268, here it is, work order 268. You can see here's the reservations already listed on the actual web apps, so you don't even have to really go back and forth and print anything. If you wanted to, it's there for you to operate upon. If you wanted to, you can also change, modify, and create some new reservations on the fly. So basically here what we've done is we've created, reserved, and started executing some work order processes. We've released the job, we've done our planning, we're happy with the planning. Planning can be way more advanced, by the way. I could spend hours just talking about planning, but the core concept behind planning is that you understand that from the master data and from the existing materials and other work orders planned, etc., you have basically allocated a soft allocated time for your production to execute upon. So if we start talking about production, you'll be able here to enjoy also a lot of things. You can basically backflush everything if you wanted to, just keep it very simple. You can create some time receipts, you can create some standard manual work order, start, stop, some work orders, issues, and receipts. All of this are business requirements. So if you have to do production in a very manual way, you might require to use more of these manual applications, allowing you to do, as you move along in production, some consumption rates. If you want to keep things extremely simple, you can use your work order backflushing to just do everything in one go. Also, the time receipt is something very neat. One great tool that we have is the pull report. The pull report is basically based on your resource. For example, here I've got full access to everything. But if I was a specific operator with limited access to specific jobs, I might be interested in just being connecting to specific resources. Indeed, you might want to check, for example, here I have my RMA resource, and within that I have, let's say, a work order for an assembly. Let's say here I've got to create a dishwasher. I am able to have, out of the box, all of my CAD drawings and documents attached directly here. I can actually just print it and actually install it and have it on my phone or anywhere I need, so that I'm able to perform any required documents. These documents are directly linked to your pull report attachments, so you're able to execute everything from there without having to go back and forth between SAP and your actual requirements. This is something very neat. You also again see all of your requirements of materials that you might require directly on pull report, and this is a great thing to have. If I go back to my resources here, I might be able to select I just need to check which resource it is in the first place. It's my CC Pack 01, so I can just go back here and go and check for my CC Pack 01. And here you have your work order that's released and available right here for your Calvis item packing requirements. So you can basically just select it and start working on. Here you have the information of, again, what you need, and you can click on Start. So here what I'm doing, basically, I'm executing and performing a production task. Actually, you see here, it's actually doing a running time. So in SAP, first of all, you have traceability of performing the job, but also directly on the work order, you can enjoy some, performance rates. So here, if I go back here, I filter it out, I go to my existing work order. On a glance, I'll be able to see here on 268, someone is performing work as we speak, as I have a red clock on that work order. I can select it, and if I just I'm going to make it even cleaner. If I filter it out, I can zoom in a bit, and here you're going to have the information that someone is actually performing a job right now. Yaremi is connected, when was she connected, what date, etc. So you have that full traceability on the job if it's something you require. Okay, excellent. Once you do this, you can go back to your web apps, where you can make decisions. For example, here you might be just doing your packing. Like I said, it's either manual or automatic. If here in this case my work order goods receipt is manual, well, same thing. You can filter it out. Actually, maybe I can filter it out this way, just to show you where you just go and grab it. It shows you here a barcode to just select, and it pre-fills your information. Here you can enter your batch serial numbers, like we talked about on the receiving process, where you can enter information such as shelf lives if you're doing some food or beverages. You can have some details added, etc. if it's something you'd like to have, which is always neat. But here I'm going to keep it as automatic. Again, I like to be keeping things automatic. And here I'm just going to say, please enter a quantity, let's say, of 500, not 5,500. And basically, I need to refresh this. I am going to just go back here. I'm going to go and grab that item again. There we go. And here I'm going to say 5,000. Okay, this doesn't work. Let me go back here. And maybe I'll just enter manually. Here we go. Perfect. So it updated. It says the system automatically enters the information, and you can click on Save, where it's going to enter on your work order the produced quantities, and all the financials again are linked to that requirement. If I go to my work order one more time, if I go to my production, if I go to my work orders, I can enjoy basically all the traceability. Everything is inside the system for me to review. Here I have my journal entries that should have been created. As you can see here, I have my journal entries linked to all of my goods receipts, time receipts, etc., and it was created automatically. As you can see, the status is not accessible from the batch as I have a QC order that's linked to it. Important to note that if you have a QC order linked to an operation step, you also can add security purposes to not allow people to connect on the job, making life just that much easier, and you protect your production flows to make sure everything is validated before starting the next step, in the case you have, of course, multiple operations. So here, for example, I've produced 500 units. I can go back to Webapps. I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I validated this. I can go back to my pull report, and here I can select my packing machine again. And as you can see here, I see the one I'm working on right now, which is the one in red. And I can just say, hey, you know what? I can stop the job for the time being. The system automatically enters the time. You can define multiple time types, as we said at the start of the demo today. Here I only have one existing one, which is why it's only processing. And once it's done, I can say, hey, I have actually produced 500 and I'm doing a partial receipt. If you'd like to, you can also add a lot of scrap. Scrap can be defined for pre-production, for example, or for any required scrap type, which could report actual quantities for consumption rates. Once you've done this, you can click on save. And the system automatically goes and grabs the actual batch you've defined and reserved on the job, and also tries and allocates any backflushed items to be pre-selected if needed. As here it's a non-inventory, it's a non-batch controlled item. The system just grabs and pulls and consumes any item available in the defined warehouse if it's something you'd like to have. You can always update, modify, and change the consumption, and even add or more or less if it's something you require based on scrap or any additional requirements. You can save, and the system basically consumes as you move along the production on a backflushing process if it's something you require. So here, going back to the 268 work order, you can now have additional information such as time receipts, costing. As you can see, only 4 minutes worth of labor was reported. I have here a very precise reported labor, and you have your receipts and all your consumption documents are listed as you move along in your production. So it makes your life just that much easier. You have your batch and the remaining quantities of the reserved batch, the actual issued quantities. It's all there for you. Life is just that much easier for you to make your controls. All the financials are controllable, so even on the work orders, you can always come back here, do a live production costing analysis, where you can make some decisions of how you'd like to evaluate your information. You can go to your standard protocols, and here you'll be able to enjoy also a report of planned cost versus actual cost. As you can see here, it's normal because I've only received 50% of the requirements, and here, as you can see, we have a gap in between my plan and actual in terms of labor. So you can make a lot of decisions in terms of if things are going well, or maybe you have some issues in your production in terms of costing, which will make you more efficient in that sense, where you can make decisions and improve tremendously everything related to your financials in the future using your BEAS Advanced Manufacturing of SAP Business One. Again, this is very high level. I don't mean to spend too much time. I'm just giving you an idea or a glance of what we can do inside SAP. So here again, we've concluded a portion of it, but we could even go a bit further. Let's say we've finished production and we've validated the information. I can validate my information for delivery purposes. So here we want to do a partial delivery, for example. I could go to my 78 here, and as you can see here, it already allocated half of what is required as I've officially produced it on the job as we move along. But an important topic before we do that is to go back to my my control of the batches. Why? Because I'm still missing to validate the batch of production. And here I've received as a catalysis finished good. I can go here and validate the batch. So here's very important to validate all the questions again. If you have an error, you can also do so. You can enter text, you can enter quantities, measurements, attributes. It's all there for you to make your life just that much easier. If you wanted to, for any finished goods, you can even do some transfers. So from the quality control flow, if you wanted to, you see here I have my quantities produced of 500. I validated as good. If I wanted to, I can transfer it to any specific warehouse. I can issue it out if it's just not good in my quality control. I can change it to an existing item in my system, for example, item A to item B, because the specs are closer to that item and they are sellable as such. I can also create directly a goods return document and create a transfer request to be executed upon. But here, for example, I could just do a transfer request if I wanted to, directly from the screen. Very powerful indeed, all from the quality control transfer flows, all in one simple flow. So here on the picking sales order again, if I go back, I can filter out my sales documents, filter it out, scan it out, and as you can see here again, the batch was confirmed and validated. It's free to go. The batch is here, all good to go. Excellent. And it was already predefined. If I wanted to, I could obviously go back here and go and grab any other batches I would like to use if I had any. Right now I don't, and this one has already been reserved entirely for that specific job, so I don't have to do anything else than that was required. Here I'm not going to do any additional changes. As it is right now, it's all good to go. Once this is done, I can basically go and deliver directly from my handheld device, where I can just go and grab my sales documents. Here it is, and basically from here I see what is listed, and I can just click and create a delivery. The system is all batch number for item in case this is not found. Let's go back and do a quick check. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to I haven't got the full batch defined. But here on the pick delivery sales order number, I'm not going to deliver this one yet. Let's go back to my main page. Let's go to my picking SO document. I'm going to go and delete the existing reservation, and not this one either. Here we go, 78. And here, for example, I've got this batch here that's not been produced yet, so the system couldn't find it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that pre-reservation logic and just keep that existing quantities reserved, so that I am able to execute my partial delivery. Here I'm just going to go and grab it one more time, 78. Go and let's see if I can find it. There we go, it filtered out. And here I can just execute my delivery because it's going to consume the batch that was reserved and validate, as you can see here. Everything is done in the system, financials also executed upon, and it's all documented inside of your work orders for documentation purposes. A lot more can be done, obviously. Here we're doing our sales order flows and everything, but as you can see, we've got other tools at our disposal. But I'm going to keep it extremely simple, like the interruptions, for example. You can keep your interruptions where you can select your resources, a tool, whatever it may be, and you can select it, and you can say, hey, my injection machine has a specific, I don't know, issue or whatever it may be, or the tool has an issue, and you can define a reason. Maybe a certification, documentation, maintenance broken. You can define your reasons and basically create some interruptions out of the box. If you'd like to, for your different maintenance flows. So this is very neat and handy if it's something you'd like to have. Keeps it away, and this allows you to not use the actual resource in production, stopping operators from connecting and executing any of the defined production flows. So all is integrated within the system, and then you can stop the interruption if it's something you'd like to do. Cycle counting is the same process. You can define some specific counting lists in SAP, allowing you to create some specific cycle count logics. Here I have a list, and I have multiple defined lists where I can define it to someone. And here, for example, you would have to go in and say, oh, I have some items to be validated, counted, and validated as you see fit. Here, for example, I go back to the header, try and find another one. Let's say number 1, for example. And here I have some different items that I can select and validate as per scene, and you can change and update on the fly those quantities and update them so that they be reflected inside SAP. And then you can update your inventory counts if it's something you need. All is scannable indeed, as you see here. You can scan it, validate it, and based on warehouse quantities, it's all up to you. So cycle counting is made just that much easier, faster, and you know, your people won't have to go and have all this paperwork done and entered in the system afterwards. You do it as you go along, and you can all control it directly in SAP to make your decisions and your cycle counting reports. And so basically another great important thing to know is the batch tracing tool. So if I go one more time back into my work orders, you have the capability of tracking your batches. So if I go to my descending here again one more time, go to my item. If I go here to my work order catalysis one more time, you have your goods receipts, that document, but you have the batch, and the batch was free because I validated the QC, obviously. Here you can see all of the different batches that were used in the different sub-assemblies. For your you know that your sub-assembly used X amount of batches, what was it, when was it quality controlled, what was inside of it, the delivery notes, information is all listed, if there was any transfers. Everything is inside the system for tracking purposes. And if you double click on any batch itself, there's also the option to see what it was used in. Here, for example, I can click on use it, and I know exactly this one was used in my finished good. It's the one we just did together a few minutes ago. In the case you have a return or any issues in your production, you'll be able to track all of your batches and make decisions as such. All integrated inside the system for you. External processes also apply the same way. You can actually execute and create external process POs directly within your work orders. I don't know if I have one right here. Let me see. If I go to this one, for example, and review here, you see here we have some external processes where we can also link specific QC orders and purchase orders for services, and also link the cost of that service directly inside the system. As you can see here with that external operation goods receipt PO, it is documented and the cost is also related inside of your defined work orders, all integrated inside one simplified flow. Reminder, BEAS is an add-on, allowing you to basically just attach it to your existing flows in your SAP Business One requirements, making your life just much easier and simplifying the integration process tremendously. So much more to see, such as project management. For example, you're capable inside of your production, you can create specific projects where you're capable of basically having specific tasks defined, linked to specific documents, specific purchase orders. You can do your work orders are also linked to specific jobs, and all of it brings it back into a simplified budget where you know exactly if you're on target or not in terms of days and planned objectives. So your life is just that much simplified, with also all your sales tasks, any activities if you wanted to, and any existing work orders listed inside one simplified project folder. So that's rather nice. Also, we have all of the out-of-the-box B1UP reports, allowing you to have basically some out-of-the-box reports of all of your QC, production planning, BEAS items, sales, finance, all here out of the box. And they can even be linked to your terminal or any other screens that you might have, and you can actually link your B1UP dashboards and connect directly from internet. So this is something that clients like to have, for example, on the shop floor, where you can connect and just see everything directly from your Google Chrome or Firefox or whatever tool you're using. The first load in, it takes a bit of time, but once you've validated that, you basically be able to see that it basically updates live all your data, and where you can also see all of your planned times. So for example, this one here you see here is a work order we just worked on, live data, quantity in progress only 500. So I know I've only done like 50% of the whole production, and you have the reported time directly on the screens for you, and you can have the information that yes, it is in work as we speak, and quick glance on if you're late or not. So these dashboards are very powerful if you like to work with them. Again, thank you so much for your attention. This is a quick overview of BEAS. Well, I'd be more than happy to show you the advanced capabilities. Please feel free to contact our sales team and other partners of the company, and we'll be in touch. Thank you so much. Have a great day.